If you had all the money in the world, would you buy up north? And I'm waiting for them to say the answer no.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Game of Loans podcast. I don't know why I say another every single time, like it's, oh God, another episode. Everyone should be excited for another episode. But today I'm joined by the amazing Alfred Dzadey. Thank you so much, Alfred, for jumping on board with me today and having a chat.
No, I appreciate having me on. Always looking forward to these podcasts. So yeah, let's go to the episode.
Awesome. Alfred, I know that you're pretty popular online. I know you come up a lot in my feed. I see you're on Clubhouse, you're getting yourself out a bit. But for those people that haven't maybe come across you before, give us a little quick overview of who you are and what you do.
Yeah, so I'm Alfred Dzadey. I am based in the West Midlands. I'm based in Rugby, but originally from London. Pretty much came up to Midlands due to my corporate days and I've been working as a project manager. But now I pretty much focus on building a portfolio of HMO properties in the Midlands. So Coventry is where I predominantly invest, and mainly city centre. And I look to buy properties where I can convert them into like 6-bedroom plus HMOs. And again, regards to like kind of where I sit in the market, I'm more towards the high end finish. For me, I want to put something out there where it's spacious, people want to live in there, people want to even get excited the minute they walk in. So I want to kind of create that little perception as well to my potential tenants who walk in the door. But that's what I mainly focus on at the moment.
Awesome. Do you know, it's funny you said that because I did the same as you. I'm a North Londoner in terms of where I was born and bred, but moved up to the West Midlands because that's where my wife's from. So, and I'm pretty much a stone's throw from Coventry now. And one thing I've found is, obviously, being a broker, I've got clients that invest all over the country, based all over the country. Coventry, for a long, long period of time, was always that HMO hub. It was always everyone who wanted to get into HMO went to Coventry. How are you finding it? Is it tough? Is it a tough market at the moment? Is there a lot of competition, or do you feel like maybe because it now has this perception that it's kind of an oversaturated market, for want of a better phrase, actually the competition's dwindled and you can find some decent deals now?
So I think I'll talk from the perspective of obviously us being in the pandemic and COVID, the current situation as it is. So it is like the demand has died on a bit because people are uncertain about their jobs. University demand as well from international students and stuff has slowed down a bit. But at the same time, it's a bit weird because I've got properties that are being let to students for like the next academic year. But the last 8 to 12, 8 months-ish, there was a dip in demand. People were like uncertain. People were even like when they were doing viewings saying, oh, can we take the property like on a roll-on basis, or can we do like a 3-month, like a short term, as opposed to the normal standard 6 months. So it has been a tricky market, but I wouldn't say, so there is a lot of HMOs for sure in Coventry. I feel like with anything in life, there's a lot of everything in terms of like businesses or whatever you call it, this of the same type. It's about how do you attract people and still win the customer at the end of the day, because it's still how do you get someone to buy from you, because there's loads of other properties out there. So for me, the way I see it is I target city center location one to kind of give me a diverse opportunity in terms of the tenant profiles that can come into my property. I don't just focus on just one, like students only. I'm like pretty much city center, so I've got students, I can do social housing if I wanted to, I can do service accommodation, professionals obviously as well. So there's 4 tenant profiles I can target, and that's another key reason I don't really look outside the city center location. But yeah, in terms of generating the actual tenants and getting them in, because of the saturation in the market, it's about your agent and how good they are in marketing. And to be honest, every agent it's a fine line, because I feel like your agent's only as good as how they market and how they go about looking to get tenants into the properties. Because let's to be honest, a lot of them just kind of create ads and just put it out there, and whoever attracts to the ad, and that's it. I try and push my agents to try and actively go out seeking tenants themselves, making phone calls with people that are actually looking for rooms, and you're just being on the forefront of just looking to find tenants rather than just waiting, put ad out and just see who comes and responds to the ad. I market as well as my agents, so I don't just rely on my agents just marketing it for me. I kind of put some ads out myself as well and try and seek tenants, and then I'll pass them on to the agent and they'll do the closing of getting the tenant signing the paperwork and putting the deposit down.
I think there's two things. I think anyone listening that's sort of wanting to get into HMO, which is massively important, that you touched on there, which was number one, who's actually going to be your tenant, and keeping that as wide as possible is potentially quite a good idea, so that you can, no matter what happens, like for example, at the moment, obviously a lot of students, university students, aren't actually going to university. My wife's cousin has just recently gone to Cardiff, and I feel bad for her because she's basically not having a freshers year. And I know.
I feel honestly, I feel like every university student, because like it's an experience.
Yeah.
The going out, socializing with your friends, bar crawls, pre-drinks. Like your first year, if you didn't experience that, like some people in the 20s, I feel sorry for anybody in the young 20s, and they're not getting to live. They just, it's like, no, it's like the worst. Your best years are going to waste, to put it simple.
Oh God, yeah. I remember. I mean, I didn't do anything in my first year of university, probably by playing a bit of rugby and drinking with my mates. That's pretty much all I did. But the thing is, by doing that, you learn so much, I think, outside of just the academic stuff, which is probably why, I mean, I did a very academic subject. I did history, but in reality, the demands weren't that fantastic on me in that first year. There are a lot of people missing out, but and this is why I think what you said was so great, that you produce a product that hopefully will attract a diversified type of clientele. So you're keeping your options open as best you possibly can, which is great. And the other thing you touched upon as well, which I'd love to explore a little bit more, is the use of agents. Because as somebody myself a lot of my clients invest in HMOs, but I don't myself, I have always thought, God, it must be an absolute nightmare finding tenants, because for every property you've got, if you own buy-to-lets, you've just got to find one tenant for that property. If you've got an HMO, you might have to find 5, 6, 7, 8, depending on how big the buy-to-let is. The HMO is. Yeah. You've got so many more potential tenants that you need to find. So did you start off, like when you first started an HMO, did you start off using agents, or was it kind of a learning curve?
I've always used agents, just simply because I have this principle around, I want to kind of use my time to kind of focus on building a portfolio. So my main focus area is raising finance and finding new deals. So that's where I kind of spend my time, and then everything else I outsource. The build team is outsourced to a construction company. The tenant find is outsourced to the agent. The management of the tenants outsourced to the agents. So I just try and build a good team around me to kind of kind of alleviate that those areas from me, so I can focus my efforts into the other areas where I think are more profitable and more better use of my time, basically.
Yeah, do you know what? And again, this is already, there's so many really great little nuggets of information that hopefully kind of newbies to HMO investing, or those that are maybe looking to branch into HMO, are going to definitely benefit from. That, I guess, the idea of leveraging your time wisely. I'm pretty privileged. I get to speak to so many investors on a day-to-day basis, and see how different investors, run their businesses, run their lives. And definitely one of the huge differentiators between the great and the good is that the great will have a real firm grasp on how they leverage their time, and they'll focus really heavily on the stuff that they're particularly good at. So you said there, you're looking for deals and you're looking for the finance. All the other stuff really is either something that maybe you're not all that brilliant at, or you just don't have the time to divert to it. So that's a huge benefit, right, for day to day, that you can just focus in on the tasks that you need to focus on.
Yeah, literally. Like I just feel like those areas. Don't get me wrong. Of course, I can find my own tenants. I have found tenants and kind of passed it on to the agents, kind of close them. But for me, it's like there's still effort required to kind of do those things and take you away from doing other important tasks. So for me, what's important is keeping the pipeline full, and from an investment point of view, keeping the pipeline full as well. Just to kind of, so that's where I spend most of my time. Anything I can outsource, I'd love to outsource. I think even the only thing I don't think I can outsource is the raising investor finance. Deal sourcing, I could potentially use a sourcing agent, or the relations I currently built with my agents. They can provide me deals, and they have in the past. So I don't necessarily have to kind of actively go to viewings. I'm not one of those guys that do hundreds of viewings. I think starting out, yeah, it's good to immerse yourself in that world of doing viewings, getting familiar with the property, what to look out for. As you get more experience, your time gets very precious and you just want to utilize your time better. Now, if I'm going to a viewing, pretty much it's pretty much a done deal, in the sense I'm positioning myself on the phone call to the agent or whoever the person is I'm speaking to, as someone that's serious, can move forward, got a team in place, knows exactly what they're going to do to the property. And they'll tell by the way I'm talking that I know what I'm doing. I'll mention a few roads, current projects I'm doing as well. So then I kind of position myself, look, this is how much I'm willing to pay. Is the vendor interested or not? If they are, I'd love to view my build team. If they're not, then that's not for me. But let me know what their thoughts are on this kind of ballpark figure, subject to me viewing it.
I've had this before, one of my clients, this is actually pretty recent. I think this was only about 2 or 3 weeks ago. I was chatting to a client of mine and he said, when he approaches an agent to put an offer in on the property, he does so in a very particular way that assumes that he's going to get it accepted. And I guess what you were saying is pretty similar. Like he said, he'll call the agent, or he'll send an email to the agent. He'll call the agent and say, I've just sent you an email with my official offer on the property. On there, I've also sent through all my proof of address, proof of funds, and all the details that the client's solicitor needs in order to start communicating with my client, with my solicitor, to start getting the ball rolling and stuff. And he said that it's incredible actually how much that kind of puts pressure on the agent to get the offer accepted, because then they're like, shit, this guy is like ready to hit the ground running. I want to get paid out on this deal. So it kind of almost gets the agent on your side to try and get the deal done.
Literally, he's a wise one, whoever that person is. Because I do something similar on the back end of my calls. I'll be like, look, I can send some proof of funds, my ID over. So I ask a question, what's your email? So when he says, yeah, I'll have it, I say, what's your email? And I'll follow up on the email with just literally my proof of funds, my ID. And like I said, that gets them feeling like this guy is ready to move and they don't want to lose this guy, because they know I'll make it very clear as well. I'm in the market looking to add more properties to my portfolio. I'm keen on getting this one. So let me know the vendor's thoughts, but I am looking around. So I'll make them aware that I am looking elsewhere. So if they want to keep long, then I potentially might find something better and proceed with that. So it's literally positioning yourself on that call just to get them to take you serious.
Yeah. Are you one of those investors that puts a lot of offers in, or are you a bit more particular? Because I've got clients that, I was speaking to one client the other day that had 250 offers in currently. Are you one of those, or are you kind of tunnel vision?
I don't even know what market you're in where there's that much stock readily available for you to put. Because I'm in Coventry and I maybe every given time I maybe got 2 or 3 offers in. I'm very particular with the property I'm looking at as well. I've got very like some perimeters and stuff that I look at, sizes of the property, so they're not come up that frequently. And my strategy of being able to secure it subject to planning as well is not something I can kind of go on in any property that pops up in the market. It has to be a property that's probably been on the market a while, or some sort of motivated seller, for me to kind of be able to position, pretty much tell you to wait 3 months to kind of wait for me to buy it. And you're not going to do that if you only just put it in the market week 1. You're going to tell me to go away. So I'm very my strategy is very different. Price point is different. I'm not in the low end market. Like the last one I bought on Friday was 265. Prior to that was 310. So I'm buying a bit higher up in the market where not everybody can compete at that level as well. For like the lower you are in the market, everybody can buy it. The person wants to buy a property for their family to live in, a professional who's getting on the ladder, an investor who wants to buy as a buy to let. Like literally everybody's in the market for the lower the price of property is. So I just start going higher and higher. The barrier to entry is a lot higher. So there's less people looking at those deals. There's less people have the rent money readily available to execute on that deal.
That's such a good lesson. That's such a good lesson. That and it seems obvious. I think Kazi actually on the podcast a couple of weeks ago mentioned this to me, because obviously he invests in South London and I guess it was a similar sort of mindset. The higher the lower you go, the more people you've got to compete with, and more different types of people. Specifically, I find that if you're trying to compete with people that are trying to buy it as their own home, you're not competing with somebody that's thinking as a calculator, thinking figures. You're competing with emotion. Yeah. And those types of people they can always find an extra 10, 20, 30 grand from somewhere to find their dream home. And if you can move away from having to compete with those sorts of people, that's where you're going to sort of see these wins. So I think that's such a great lesson to learn. And for anyone that is listening, you know, sometimes it's not always the best thing to do to go as far up north as you possibly can and buy 40, 50, 60,000 pound properties, because you've got so much competition, right?
Yeah, and the whole thing of whenever anybody says to me they live in London or they go up north, my first question is, if I literally ask, if you had all the money in the world, would you buy up north? And I'm waiting for them to say the answer no, because the likelihood is they're going up north because they feel like it's more affordable, they can afford it. I'm like, that's not your problem. Your real problem is not having enough capital around you to be able to buy the deal in the location you actually want to buy. So you're looking elsewhere, which isn't actually solving your problem. So the problem you need to fix is, how can I get in a network where I can raise that level of capital? How can I fund such a deal? That's the problem you're trying. Those are the problems you should be looking to solve, rather than saying I'm going to invest up north and make it work because the prices are cheap out there. No, because and you just answer the question by saying, yeah, if I had all the money in the world, you just buy in London. So clearly you don't want to buy up north, you want to buy in London. Fix the real problem.
Do you know, it's funny, I think this is a business thing in general. I said to my business partner the other day, if money was no object right now, what would we do with our business? You know, would we hire somebody else? Would we move to a bigger office? Would we move to a different location? Would we market ourselves in a slightly different way? And the answer to all of those things, surprisingly, because I'm the one that's wanting to grow all the time, and he's the one that's like, this you know, slowly catch your monkey kind of scenario. And he turned around to me, he's like, yes to all those questions. Yeah, I think we'd get a bigger office. Yeah, I think we'd employ more people. Yeah, I think we'd do more in our marketing. I was like, great, okay, so let's just, you know, let's work backwards. Let's focus on the money side now, right? How much money do we need to achieve all those things we've just said? Property's no different. You know, I speak to people all the time, and they've got this goal in mind. I want to achieve X number of properties, X amount of monthly cash flow, all this kind of stuff. And actually, I think what you're saying is absolutely spot on. If you thought money was no object, how would you actually go about achieving that? Would you go and buy 100 properties in Durham, or would you go and buy, you know, 30 properties in Coventry, or 20 properties in Birmingham? You know, what would you actually do? And I think that to me is such a good way of thinking about it. If money was no issue, you know, how would you go about building the property business that you want to build?
Yeah, I try and educate people in that sense, just looking from a different lens, because I feel like a lot of people are doing things because of their current situation, and you don't set out to build something based on your current situation. Do you know what I mean? You have to look at the end goal, and how do you become that person that achieves the end goal? That's how you should be looking at the problem. I guess it comes easy for me because I'm an engineer. My background is I studied aerospace engineering, so day one, like, our lecturer that was teaching us was like, you guys are the most valuable people on this planet, because you are the ones that are going to fix the biggest problems on this planet. And we're taught to kind of think of a point of view of how do you fix a problem, and there's always a way. It hasn't been achieved yet, but there is a way. If you have the right team, resource, effort put into it, it can be worked out. That there is a solution. It's just, can you put it together and make it happen? So it's just a mindset switch.
I love that. Is there an element of reverse engineering as well, like a big goal, and then bringing it back to the now? What steps would I need to take tomorrow, next week, next month, in order to get myself on the path to achieving that big goal?
Yeah, that is literally what I do. The whole literally everything I set is like, how I literally work backwards. Who do I need to become? That's the first question to achieve that goal. How, if it's funding, I need who do I need to meet? I always say the question is it's not how, it's who. It's never the how. The how is, forget the how. How is this? Trust me, is the who. I think there's a book called Who Not How. Great book. Leveraging team. I'm all about team building, getting the right people around you, building a network. That's how you achieve massive goals and solve big problems. Anybody that's solved any big problem on this planet, it's always been about the people who they're around. You can never, an individual can't solve a big problem. So stop trying to fix a problem that you're just narrow focus, or I need to fix. No, who can help me fix this problem? That's what you need to be thinking about. Who's that person?
Do you know, I love that so much. And actually, I've got to say, I think if I make a comparison between conversations I have now to even conversations I had 2 or 3 years ago, I think people are coming round. What I mean by people is new investors. I think are coming round to the fact that you can't do it on your own. You've got to have people that you can trust around you, and you can, leverage off of their experience and potentially their money and all that kind of stuff as well. It's such a great lesson to learn. So off the back of that, and I did say to you that it wasn't going to be called question and answer, but you keep chucking these nuggets at me, and it's bringing questions into my mind. So, all right, let's put a scenario together. I'm keen to see what you think about this. So, scenario is you don't know any of the people that you know now, and you don't have any of the knowledge really you have some of the knowledge, but you don't have like all of the portfolio and the money coming in, etc.
Yeah.
You're a newbie investor. How would you go about maybe starting to build that team with the knowledge of how to build those teams that you've got now?
I'll give one. This is actually a one sentence answer.
Great. That's what I wanted.
My mentor gave me this, and it's the best thing he's ever said to me. Find the person that can. So the principle behind this is, if you're starting out, you're looking to step into the space you don't know about, what you're trying to find is the person that can. Who's done it before? How have they done it? You're trying to tap into that network. You need to approach that person, be of a place of value, how you can add value to them, and then obviously exchange. So if the value is exchanging money with them for them to feed you information, great. If it is helping them out, solve something that they a problem that they have, and you solved it for them, then they will exchange value with you. So just go from a place of exchanging value, basically. But for me, this is a very simple answer. Find the person that can, and literally feed off that person. Even it can even be from so some people say I have a virtual mentor, and the virtual mentor is Grant Cardone. I watch him from a distance. Obviously, he's quite far ahead of me, but his core principles is what I'm trying to relate to, trying to attract, because I've seen where he's got to, and just those principles alone, if I follow those same principles myself, I can see myself getting to where he is. So it doesn't have to be someone, again, that you kind of have to have day-to-day communication with. It just could be someone you're watching from a distance, just studying them. You don't need to study 10 people. You can just pick one, two max. Even two can be contradicting depending on who they've got complement each other if you're going to look at two. But for me personally, one person is all you need to listen to. The person you resonate with the most, follow that person, study the person, learn everything about that person, and the likelihood is you probably will become that person. So
I guess it's that whole follow the road most trodden, or whatever the phrase is. Because this is something that I see so many times. And I think I did a post about this recently on Instagram, which was basically all about, like, if you're a new investor, like by you coming up with this incredible idea, chances are that a lot of other investors that are a million miles down the road from you have probably already thought about this, and for some reason they haven't done it. So you might be the one in a million that has had this incredible idea, but chances are you haven't come up with a magic solution to a problem that's been existing for a long, long time. If you actually look at the people that are doing what you do, or doing what you want to be doing in 10 years' time, look at what they are doing and follow that route. You don't need to reinvent the wheel. You don't need to start an Apple or a Microsoft. There is enough business in this country. There's enough property in this country for all the people that probably want to get into property to have a bit of a successful career in it. Just follow the people that have already been doing it. My big one is bridging finance. I get a lot of my clients scared of using bridging. I'm like, well, my clients that own 100, 200, 300 properties that work on multi-million-pound development projects, they use bridging or a form of it. So just, you as newbie investor with 50 grand in your back pocket, why do you think you shouldn't be using that type of finance? They're using it, you should be using it too. It's as simple as that. But that goes for so many other things as well, like you mentioned.
Yeah, like you said, I think the spot on, like, don't reinvent the wheel. You don't need to just copy. I'm the best copycat I think there is out there. I want to find what works, and I'm copying it up to the T. I don't need to change any or try and add my little thing to it. No, this works. This is proven. It's done. I want the same success. I'm going to do exactly the same thing. I'm not changing a single thing. And that's why people get it wrong. They see something, they want to tweak it a little bit, and that's where it just starts to fall apart. Just follow the process.
It's an efficiency thing, isn't it? I think at the end of the day. I might have said this, told this story before on the podcast. For anyone listening, if I have already, I apologize. When I was doing my A-levels at school, which was like back in the Victorian times, there was a girl in my geography class, and I think we had like 3 or 4 geography classes a week, and she'd turn up to like 2. Like she would like miss half the classes. Whenever we did like spot tests or anything, she got an A every single time. And I remember saying to my teacher, like, how the hell is this woman keep getting a bloody A on everything, where I'm sweating my arse off trying to learn everything there is? And she said, it's all about the efficiency of meeting the end goal. For her, getting a geography GCSE, getting a geography A level is not going to mean anything to her. She wants to go to university to study dentistry. So she knows that she needs 4 A levels. She needs 4 A's at A level to go to the university that she wants to go to. So all she's focusing on is getting an A. She doesn't need to learn geography. She just needs to get an A in the exam. So she's efficient in what she learns. She learns what she needs to do the exam. She studies the exams. She studies the type of questions, and she knows the subject matter inside out enough to answer those questions. And that's such a great lesson in life, that if you want to achieve something, look at the likes of a Grant Cardone or someone else in the field where you want to achieve, and look at what they have done, and just follow that roadmap, and don't deviate too much from it, because you need to just be efficient in trying to get to that goal. If anything, getting distracted by other things, the whole shiny penny syndrome, whatever you want to call it, it's just going to derail you from getting to the point that you want to get to in the quickest point of time possible. And that was such a great lesson that I learned quite early on in my life. I don't think I truly understood the magnitude of it until probably relatively recently, but it's a lesson that I learned a long, long time ago.
Yeah, no, mate, spot on there. Like, I'm a big believer. Just find who's done it and just replicate. Don't reinvent the wheel, man. Honestly, it's a simple thing to say, but it's like, because I think this day and age, I think what's making it hard for people in this day and age is because there's so much information out there now. So much. Everybody's got a little twist to their information, and there's so many voices, there's so many opinions. Instagram, social media, and all that stuff has kind of brought opinions from everybody. So everybody's got their own angle. But like I said, just one person.
I call it Netflix syndrome. It's you go on Netflix when you want to watch a film, but there's so many bloody films on Netflix that you end up not finding anything that you want to watch. Yeah. Whereas if you had the choice of 3 films to watch, you'd pick one, wouldn't you? You'd go, right, we're just going to go for this one. Whereas when you've got like 500, sometimes you get what you actually want just gets lost. And I think you're right. You go into places. Look, I'm a massive believer that the information that is available out there is incredible, and it sets our generation apart from our predecessors in our ability to be able to make successes of ourselves. However, you've got to be tuned in your mind to being like, right, I'm going to create my own roadmap by looking at only a specific amount of stuff. I'm not going to procrastinate. I'm not just, there comes a point where you've got to stop the research and start the actual doing. And again, to use like an analogy for myself, I always think of it when I was a kid, when I was at university, I used to spend so long researching my essays, and then I wouldn't give myself enough time to actually put together the writing element. And you don't get marks for research. You get marks for writing down your research in a plausible way. And, I look back, and I'm not blaming Mentorship. I could have easily got a first at university. I'm not joking at all, easily, but I didn't. I got a 2-1. And now it was mainly due to the fact that the quality of the essays that I put together did not represent the level of the research that I did, because I always left it too late. And I think that's a lot of people that are in our sphere that will want to be successful. They spend far too much time on the research element, thinking that they're moving themselves forward, when it actually gets to a point where more research is not going to solve your problems. You've got to go out, you've got to speak to agents, you've got to put offers in on properties, you've got to find investors, you've got to raise bridging finance or whatever you need to do, and actually get some deals done, because that's where your next level learning comes from, actually doing it and learning from the experience.
Literally. And I'll even take it back to my HMOs. When I started first with HMOs, I didn't try anything else. Again, for me, it was like back to what we said earlier on. I understood exactly what I wanted to get out of property, which for me was high cash flow, and I wanted to own the assets. HMOs what stood out for me. I then reverse engineered, how can I get into HMOs with no experience? This is my first investment property. So all these questions, and I'm literally just trying to resolve each hurdle. And I just needed to know enough to get me into the deal, to get me to start doing the refurb, and then build on, because you're never going to know all of it. I don't care how, I don't know if some people just out there trying to find every little information. Oh, what about building control? What about when do I order this? When do I, like, that stuff is it's gonna just take one step at a time. Just start, and then the question, like literally, you answer your questions as you go along with it. And the important bit of being able to answer your questions is having that network to tap into. If you come across a hurdle, can you tap into someone who's been there and done that and can just give you an answer? And that's what it kind of builds.
That's a great little bit of insight. Is have people around you that you can actually contact and ask genuine questions of, and that might be, you know, people that are part of your power team. You know, your solicitor, your accountant, your broker. In my example,
local investors who've done this type of deals before, who you can tap into.
Exactly.
Yeah, just that kind of stuff.
I'm interested, though, you've raised something there, which is, you know, you went in, your first deal as an HMO. I reckon if somebody said to me, Sam, what is the question, or what is the type of inquiry you get more than any other? And it is first-time investors wanting to get into HMO for the first time, and they're talking to me about mortgages and how to do it. And you'll know this. Most lenders need some kind of experience before they're going to lend to you. Talk me through this first deal of yours. You know, you made the decision you're going to get into HMO. How did you go about actually doing it, practically, and raising the finance for it? Because I imagine it wasn't the easiest thing in the world.
Yeah, so there'll be problems. So problem number one is, well, what do you know about HMO? What's your experience? Okay, cool. That's fine. So I just point to my team. See that guy over there, that construction company over there? They've done hundreds of HMOs in Coventry. They're well-established company. So I'm just pointing fingers at people and saying, this is my team, this is my network, to kind of get over the hurdles I have. So yeah, experience is one of them. So I just pointed to the build team, which for me, I've always used a construction company and always will. Because as I get bigger and do bigger deals, I'm still getting asked today, like, what's your experience level? And I'm still kind of showing what I've done previously as well, with the additional bit of the build team. I've done niche projects, and therefore we're good to go. Then the lenders are happy with that. In my case, I owned a house, so it wasn't that helped as well. I think not owning the house limits you to people that you can work with. So there was that hurdle as well. But for me, I was fine with that. Trying to think, what else were the hurdles? So even the whole entire, like, specs of HMOs, understanding the amenities, the room sizes. Again, I didn't have it all figured out, but I had the architect who's done several HMOs, and so I tapped into him and said, I'm trying to get into HMOs. I've got a property here. I think I can squeeze. I think initially we even said 5, and then we squeezed it. We made 6. We went into loft space. So we did a loft conversion and a rear extension. So again, this is my team. I'm like, what can we do with this property? What's the opportunity here? And they so I didn't have it all figured out. So this is quite a weird one. So I kind of committed based on a certain number of doing a 5-bedroom HMO. And as the deal went along, it just evolved, because I was networking. I was speaking to people, like I was showing people what I'm trying to do with this property and getting ideas. How can I do things differently to add as much value as possible? And literally tapped into my architect, and he rejigged the rooms around, created the stairs in between the 2 rooms into the loft space, got an extra room in there, which is a dual occupant room. And even that, the dual occupancy room, that wasn't part of the plan. We started the refurb, and I was like, okay, let's go into planning. Let's get it 7 occupant property, allow it to be classed as sui generis, to be able to get commercial lending as well. So I didn't have it all fixed. Literally, I was navigating my way through this deal. And so don't be fearful of wanting to know every single little detail before you start the deal. Obviously, it's great if you can. Like now, things are different. I'm getting a bridge, a development finance, where I'm getting part bridge on the purchase, 4 refurb. We're getting a value in day 1 to value the property worth today, what the refurb is going to cost, quantify that as well. And then on the back end, what's going to be worth commercially, or even bricks and mortar as well. So we have both figures. And then that's kind of, for me, this is why I love bridge development finance. I think is the most like risk, the most calculated risk you could ever get involved in, because everything is being double checked. Even the valuation figure, yeah, the team, these questions are being asked to the broker, who's Alfred's team, the surveyor is asking the same question, the asset manager who comes on site is asking the same question. So it's like everything's getting triple checked. So it's like, if the numbers are set up from day 1, you can't really go wrong. Like the insurance is in place for for the building and the work you're about to do. Like the build team you've got has got their own insurance as well. So what can really go wrong? Like, and if you're using the same value at the beginning and the same value at the end, the likelihood, or not the likelihood, they're marking their own homework. They can't really come back and change the number too drastically because is there, what happened? What's changed? Obviously, there could be something that's happened in the market. That might be the only justifiable thing. But in most cases, you're protected because the same guy, same opinion coming back to revalue. So it's all been mapped out now. I've figured it out, and I've just, now it's like cookie cutter for me on each deal. But yeah, that's how I'm navigating the things now.
I mean, this is obviously music to my ears because this is the kind of stuff that I talk to my clients about. I'm probably one of the biggest development finance lovers in the whole country. You know, it's such an undervalued type of finance, mainly because exactly what you said. Number one, I actually think it's as cheap as it's been for a long, long time as well, if you find the right lenders. But you're absolutely right. Clients always say to me, right, okay, yeah, we're going to get this project, we're going to get this funding. Like, when is it guaranteed? Like, firstly, I'm like, it's not guaranteed till the keys are in your hand, let's be honest. But
yeah,
the biggest part of the whole transaction, I'm going to get the underwriter to agree to it because that's what I do. You know, that's what someone's paying me to do, is to get the underwriter to agree to it. So that's I'm not worried about that. The key thing to the transaction is the valuation. So that's why I always say to my clients, right, let's get everything ready. As you know, when we submit an application, the idea is that we get the valuation instructed within 24 hours because they're like, oh yeah, but then we got to pay for it. I'm like, yeah, you're going to have to pay for it anyway. Just, you need to get it done so that you know what figures we're working with. And
so you know if you go or no go.
Exactly. And you might have to take a hit that you might not go through with it. I had a client recently.
I'd rather take the hit now than find out I'm about to get 100K down valued in 4 months when I'm done the refurb. So
exactly,
it's an expense to get a calculated risk to say, okay, I'm moving forward with this based on the information provided.
Couldn't agree more. Do you know? I reckon if I'm gonna pluck some figures out of my head here, I reckon 1 in every 5 development finance deals that I work on with my client, either the client's initial, either the client pulls out because they get the valuation and they get the information, they decide, actually, I don't think this is as good a deal as it was previously, which is, you know, it's shit for us as brokers because obviously we do a lot of work to get to that stage and don't necessarily get paid for it. But also, even some of those that they will still go ahead, but they've got to rejig things. They've got to make changes to their plans. You know, for example, like what you said, maybe actually it's an HMO, we're going to go for sui generis on this. Actually, do we need to maybe look at going into the loft and creating another room here to make it worthwhile, or to make it work from a commercial yield-based valuation perspective because we've got the increased income. So even if it doesn't, sometimes it won't kill the deal off, but it will certainly reinvigorate the grey matter to think, right, okay, how am I going to overcome this challenge? You know, that you were talking about this earlier on. How am I going to actually turn this problem and find a solution to this problem? And that's what the valuation is for. I'm so happy that you just said what you said. It made my day.
Openly just come out and said, I love bridging and just development finance. For me, it just kills me. I get the most sense of security doing that. You can't say that about getting like a mortgage or whatever and just trying to win on doing a mortgage and because you're just waiting to kind of hear someone's opinion at the back end. Like, for me, that's huge risk. I'm not about to spend 100K onto a refurb and then someone comes and tells me we just spent 100K, thank you, but we don't think it's worth what you just spent on it. So this is our figure and you're stuck with it.
Keeping to the little to like the talking about figures and stuff like that. Again, going back to like my clientele, it's pretty split. I reckon about 50-50 in terms of my clients who will buy with cash and refinance to those that might use bridging or development finance to buy and then refinance off the back end. I reckon 1 in 3 of my clients that buy cash and refinance get a down valuation.
Interesting.
And I say down valuation, I'm using inverted commas because it's not a down valuation. They just haven't figured out what the true valuation is likely to be. And yeah, look, the market's always moving and stuff. And certainly over the last 12 months or so, we've obviously had quite a buoyant market. And I've been doing this for long enough. I've seen a few cycles and stuff. But, you know, it is hard to predict the future sometimes, but you can make some pretty reasonable assumptions. And a lot of the time, I just think that when people are buying cash, a lot of the time they're so eager to get the deal done that they forget to do their end sort of value due diligence to the same level that they're doing their entry due diligence. Everyone spends so much time at the beginning of a deal and they don't think about the exit.
I'm like, wait, sorry, I have to stop you there. You can't, to anybody listening, you can't even have a deal if you don't know what the end goal is. Because if you don't know how you even buying right, if you don't know the end valuation of what, how do you even bought right? So for every deal you go buy right, that's the important key. And the way you buy right is by knowing how much value you can add or what you're gonna add, how you're gonna add value to the property for it to stack basically. So then you know you bought right. So it's like you can't cash, great, obviously gets you in the deal quicker, gets you the deal, yeah. But for me, that's a huge risk because I don't know, unless I'm paying the valuation report. But for me, it's different. You might pay for valuation report then, but if you're the same surveyor is not going to come and use it based on the lender you're going to use, because they have a panel that they use per area. If it's not that same person from the same panel, then that's a different opinion. And that's why I try and avoid the whole using two different surveyors at the beginning and the end. I want it to be the same person. So I, again, reverse engineering. I want to find out who my exit lender is, who's on the panel for that postcode, and I'm going to use that same surveyor on the bridge end to be able to bridge and make sure he's the same guy's going to come on the back end when I'm going to refinance. So I'm trying to wow him when he comes back to hopefully even get a higher number than what he's already put in, because he's got a perception of what he thinks I'm about to do to property. But when he walks on site and the property's all staged and it's all looking nice, he's thinking, Alfred, you've done an amazing job. I really like what you've done here. Rents are here, ASCs are here as well. You're achieving the rents you say you're going to achieve. Don't see what's wrong here. This is a great investment. Let's give you your numbers. You can't really argue that at that point. Do you know what I mean? It's there in your face. Like, what's there to argue about?
I love that. And do you know what? I mean, look, you're preaching to the converted, but hopefully there's people here listening that are really sort of getting this. For me, you got to start with the end in mind, whether that's with your long-term goals or whether it's with your like an individual project. For us as brokers, when we're looking at this, in my personal opinion, and I don't want to jump on my soapbox too much, but there are unfortunately, I think, a lot of brokers out there that are so keen just to try and get a bridge done because they're going to make some cash on it, that they don't think about the exit. They don't think about how that client's going to get out of that bridge or out of that development finance. And for us, it starts with that refinance first, right? What is your situation? Like using you as the example, starting out and not having the experience of HMO. Us as brokers, we've got to think, how the hell are we going to get you a mortgage? Or are we going to have to go to some really, really sort of scraping the barrel specialist lenders on the first couple of deals whilst you don't have the experience, just to be able to exit you after the more expensive bridging finance? And that's what we do to start with. And trust me, there's been 2 or 3 times in the last 6 to 9 months where we've actually turned some clients away because we could not give them we didn't feel confident that they actually had a decent exit. And the last thing we want is clients stuck on bridges, because it makes us look bad to the lender's point of view. And I'm not being funny, but maybe people would say, I just need to grow a pair, but I don't like that kind of thing sitting on my conscience, that we haven't been able to supply them with a good enough exit. But that's down to the investors to take that on board themselves. If you've got a broker telling you that the exit is difficult, and you can't find one yourself, you've got to think to yourself, is this deal possible? It might be for someone else, but is it for me personally? And that's the thing, is a lot of, you talked about Instagram earlier and people going on there and seeing loads of different information. They see people such as yourself. They might see people like other people that I've had on the podcast that are, quite far down the line in terms of their property journey, for want of a better phrase. But they're not in that position yet. They can only deal the deals that are right for them right now. And that unfortunate reality, I think, hits a lot of people, that they could, not all types of finance, as an example, is going to be available for them right at the beginning of their journey. They've got to work for it. They've got to earn their stripes.
Yeah, no, 100% is true. It's difficult at the beginning, but it just with anything great, you have to go through inconveniences. You might not be the things that you want, but you just got to go with it and just look to still build on it. And that's just life.
Yeah,
I can't say any more than that. It's just life. That's what life brings at us. So we just got to handle it.
Completely agree. Well, Alfred, I'm genuinely over the moon that I finally got to get you onto the podcast, because I've been a big fan of yours for a long time. And I know, we probably just scratched the surface in terms of the knowledge that you've got of this part of the market. But look, for those people listening in that are thinking, I might need to know a little bit more about this guy, might even need to reach out. I know you've got a mastermind program that you have as well. You able to tell us a little bit more about that and how people can maybe jump onto that and learn a little bit more from you?
Yeah, so I mean, I'm running a mastermind. Things it's all started when COVID, the whole COVID situation happened, to kind of create an online network basically, whereby we've got property investors who invest in all over the country. Idea of the group is to kind of leverage each other's experiences and each other's journeys. So people will come with their hurdles, and we'll try and share 2 or 3 viewpoints on how people have overcome that hurdle, or ways in which people can tackle the problem. And I feel like that the power of having people around you who can kind of bounce ideas off, or even when things aren't going your way, just kind of reigniting ideas or motivating you to kind of keep going. Because the property game it can get lonely. I feel like you need the resilience, discipline to persevere through the hard times. So having that network around you is great. Obviously, we have it once a week, every Tuesdays, 8 p.m. We also have a guest come on every month who kind of, again, to kind of share their journey, to kind of inspire the group to do more. And each session is recorded. We upload it to the Facebook group, and then there's a WhatsApp group as well, where people kind of network during the week as well for any questions they might have, rather than waiting for each session to happen. So that's kind of the bit of the mastermind. You can check it out. It's www.realpropertyventures.co.uk. It's on my Instagram. So I think connection wise, I'm mostly on Instagram. I am on other platforms: Facebook, Clubhouse, LinkedIn. I'm pretty much everywhere apart from TikTok. I think, yeah, TikTok. I'm being tempted, but I think I'm going to stay off there for a while. But I do have a YouTube channel as well to kind of showcase my projects. I put some educational content out there, but mainly just to kind of show my journey, how I'm doing my deals, how I'm going about purchasing properties, just kind of showing that, and just showing that it's possible, it is real, it can be done. You just got to have that determination to be able to do it.
Absolutely. Now, we'll make sure, I definitely will make sure that all of the links you just mentioned are in the show notes. So if anyone's interested in joining the mastermind or find out a little bit more about it, they can definitely find out more information by clicking on those links. But Alfred, I can't let you go without asking you the most important question. Sod all this property malarkey. Let's get down to the important stuff. I know you mentioned off air that you are a big chocolate fan, so I'm interested to see what your view is on this. What's the number one chocolate in Alfred's life?
Maltesers. I don't know. It's always, yeah. I don't know, Maltesers. I could eat a whole bucket of Maltesers. I don't know what it is. Have you seen those big buckets? I think they don't the big bucket ones. Oh man, I'll open that thing, just chucking that. I don't know what it is about that. It's a combination of the biscuit and the chocolate around it. Just makes so much sense.
I find with Maltesers, they're like, it's a little bit like, because that's my favorite type of chocolate to consume is, I love like buttons. So yeah. No matter what type of buttons,
are addictive as well. The white chocolate ones, Milky Way.
You literally, but the thing is you'll grab like a few, and then you're like, oh, there's only like 5 left. I might as well just eat those. Like it's a little bit like eating, they eating crisps. Like there's always one more. Yeah. Maltesers are like the epitome of that. You couldn't have half a box of Maltesers.
Ah, mate, that's impossible. Like, why can't you just let it go? Like, you've had enough now, put it to the side. I'm like, no, I still need to eat. The taste isn't gone yet. I need to keep going. Literally until it's empty. Like, oh man, I could never open a pack of Maltesers and not finish the whole thing. It's just hard. I can't put it down.
Do you know? I'm not even joking. I think it wasn't even that long ago. It's like 6 months ago. I was watching. Have you seen the program The Cube?
The Cube.
Philip Schofield does it. It's like a game show where you've got to go into this cube and you've got to do a task. And somebody said to me that probably something that nobody would ever pass it is to go in and there'll be like a box of Maltesers in the middle of the floor, and your task is you're only allowed to eat like one Malteser. Because everyone would fail it. You'd eat one and be like, oh.
Malteser lover, I know I couldn't. One. I'm also not even have it. So the minute I eat one, I got.
But you have to eat it. You have to eat the one, but then you're not allowed to eat any others. I reckon like 99% of people that went to do that task would fail it. Yeah. There's no doubt in my mind. Maltesers. Do you know what I had recently? Maltesers do buttons as well, but their buttons have like little bits of biscuit in them.
Biscuits in them, yeah.
The ones I had the other day were the mint Malteser buttons. Oh my God.
I haven't seen those. I can't lie. Mint. I hate any sort of mint.
Okay, fair enough. Don't try those, but try the buttons. They
cool.
are.
I've seen them. I haven't tried them, but yeah, I'm sure they'll be good as well. I'm pretty sure. I love buttons as well.
Again, this is it. It's like you get a bag of buttons and they're massive. They're like double the size of a packet of crisps. But you can't just stop. You can't eat like a few. You've got to eat the whole bag. Oh, God. This is why it's safe. The safe thing to do is to buy the smallest bag you possibly can, or like a little small chocolate bar, because you can't just eat like half a chocolate bar either. It's just not possible.
Yeah,
man. Sorry, I should have learned by now. I ask this question every single podcast, and all it makes me want is to just go and eat loads of chocolate at the end. So if I do like 2 or 3 recordings in a week, that's a lot of chocolate that I then go off and scoff afterwards. Because it happens. It will happen now. I'm going to get off. I know that I've probably got some work I need to do, but the first thing I'm going to do is hunt down some chocolate in my house.
I have my times where I'll just go in, I'll just be on the chocolate mood, and I'll just be eating chocolates, and then I was like, okay, I've had enough time, cut it out, let's tap out for 2 weeks, and then I'll
I'm the same. I'll have this weekend just gone. I've had a bit of a bad weekend. Like I've eaten some food that I shouldn't have, and I've eaten a lot of chocolate. Now I'm like, right, I need a 2-week detox. It comes to something when you eat so badly for just 2 days that you need 2 weeks to detox that out of your system. Literally. Yeah, that's definitely going to happen. Definitely going to have a 2 weeks detox now. But that's cool. That's that. No, do you know what? We're up to episode 77 or something, I think now, or 78. My God, I've never had anyone say Maltesers. I'm quite surprised by that.
Really?
Yeah.
So what's your favorite then? Just buttons?
Oh, it literally changes every day. My favorite thing at the moment is dairy milk have brought out, and I know whenever I say this to people, I get the same reaction because it sounds dreadful, but trust me, it's amazing. It's a dairy milk bar with little bits of blueberry and little bits of white chocolate biscuit in them.
That's an interesting combination.
It's so good. It's so good. But you can't get them in small bars. You can only get them in the big bars.
The big ones.
So you know what happens? I'll just like drive to the shops because the wife's gone, oh, we're out of eggs or whatever. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to go. And then I see it. And then by the time I'm home, it's gone. That's 500 grams of chocolate. Just.
No.
That's it. Try it. Honestly, it's a game changer. It's just so good. It doesn't sound very good, but it is good.
Yeah, no, it's an interesting combo.
I can tell I haven't sold you on it yet.
No, because I've tried a few. Like there was one that he stopped making. I don't even know the combination. It's like it was some sort of like crushed nut and caramel.
Yeah.
It was dairy milk, but I don't.
It wasn't a whole nut, but it was like it was like that, but it was the crushed like smaller bit. Yeah, I remember
that one. Oh, I don't like the whole nut one. I always take the whole nut bit out, but the one with the crushed nut, caramel infused in it, I was like, oh my God.
Do you know what I had recently that I forgot how much I like them? This is an underrated chocolate bar, a Star Bar. Have you ever had a Star Bar?
Star Bar, no. What's a Star Bar?
Mate, it's just a normal bar of chocolate, but it's a little bit like it looks, when you take the package off, it looks a little bit like somewhere between like a Boost and a Lion Bar.
Okay.
But then the middle of it, it's like chocolate around the outside, but the middle of it is just biscuit, a shitload of caramel, and like loads of peanuts. It's so good.
Could be good as well. Yeah. I can
underrated chocolate bar. Man, I need to go just because I need to go to the shops to buy some chocolate now. But Alfred, honestly, and I'm always honest with my guests because I always try and get people on that I genuinely like what they're doing, and it's almost selfish. There's lots of people listening to this, but this is all for me. I enjoy hearing about what you're doing and how you're going about doing it. So when I say that thanks for joining, I'm very genuine in that. I appreciate that you're a busy guy, and I appreciate you coming on and chatting to me for what's nearly an hour now. So I'm very thankful, and hopefully lots of people that are listening to this go up and join the Mastermind, because Alfred's only scratched the tip of the iceberg of what he's going to be sharing on there on this episode. So thanks for joining me again, Alfred. Really appreciate it, mate.
No, I appreciate having me on. It's been incredible. I hope a lot of people there's a lot of gems in this for sure. I've given it quite a lot away. So
you have. You might say you're giving away too much, really.
Yeah, listen to it a few times and just soak it all up, write it down, and more importantly, implement it. Because without that, Mars won't even bother listening to the podcast. So
great way to finish up. Don't just listen, get on and start doing it as well. Awesome. Yeah. Alfred, have a wicked week, and I'll catch up with you soon, buddy.
You too, mate. Take care.